you have them. The problem is people, you get the slacker Steve and the super seller get compensated the same. And neither one gets like low. Steve never gets let go. You can't have that. If they're going to operate at that low bar, they're going to get paid for the low bar. Super Sally's going places. She's getting compensated. You don't tell her what to do. She shows up. She stays late, right? She innovates. She comes up with new ideas. So they're compensated differently, right? So we plan for this stuff because not everybody's going to be a high performer. You need those grunts, as we call them in the Marine Corps.
Step into the world of success with Your Brand Amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. Richard Walsh, you are the CEO of Sharpen the Spear Coaching, but you're also a family man. 6 kids, a Marine, right? A boxer, a black belt, steel sculptor, multifaceted individual like many of us are. And I applaud that. Thank you for being here. I know it's been a while since we scheduled you, so I'm glad we finally made it because I'm really excited to dive in to your specific area of expertise.
Well, thank you, Annika. Yeah, I'm excited too. I've been waiting for this and it's great.
Yeah.
The day is finally here.
He's finally here. So let's talk about your journey in entrepreneurship and how you got into coaching. You saw a lot that was missing in the industry. So Were you already in business before you went into the Marines? Did that come out after?
So I went in the Marines at 17, so didn't have a lot of other than knocking on doors and cutting grass for neighbors and stuff from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Went in the Marine Corps, then got out, started working, swinging a pickaxe, digging trench for a cable company for a whopping $5 an hour. That's what I did all day. And fortunately, someone asked me to do a side gig on a cut, and they said, hey, can you shovel this 35 tons of rock in the front on the street and take it to the backyard and spread it? I was in Tucson, Arizona. I said, yeah, I can do that. I swing a pick all day. How can I not? So I spent my last $85 before payday on a wheelbarrow and a shovel, showed up on Saturday, knocked it out in about 10 hours, got it done. And then he came out, and the beautiful part was he put $1,000 in my hand. And I'm looking at it going, I did this yesterday for $40. Okay. Got working $5 an hour. I'm like, I know my future. I'm going to work for myself and be a landscaper, whatever you want to call me. I will shovel rock all day for $1,000 a day. Okay. This was 1988, 87, 88. And and that birthed kind of my landscape business that became a custom water feature niche. So I only did custom water features, added steel sculpture to that after a number of years. And that became internationally acclaimed. I did world-class exhibits and made some really cool stuff. And I did 1,000 water features, and that was really going great. Then 0809 hit, kind of the financial crunch. No one had to have a water feature in their backyard. And so they didn't. Pretty much, I had not done a lot of things in my business to really sustain something like that. So lost everything, lost my home. I had 6 little kids, 4 years and younger at the time. Had to relocate, start over. So that was a process in itself, but I did it, started 2 more businesses, scaled those, did that well, and then started helping people at the same time, asking me about, well, how'd you go from all that to nothing to like this again? Because most people would be crushed by that thing, Well, being a Marine, I'm kind of thick upstairs, so I'm kind of too dumb to quit. So I just will kind of push through and do it again. A little self-torture there, but I started working with them. I said, well, here, you're doing this. They tell me what they're doing. And I did start to see these patterns of kind of the same mistakes in every business, the same wrong things I did for 20 years. So I said, I think I'll write a book. I'm going to weave my story in and write this book. We'll call it Escape the Owner Prison, the contract's new way to scale, regain control, and fast-track growth while loving life. Did that. It became a bestseller. I built an academy around it, started coaching people from there because mentors, they're free. Coaches get paid. So I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm going to go in the coaching space. So I did that, and I've been doing that for about 7, 8 years now, coaching people, and it's been just phenomenal, really showing them how to make more profit, freedom, and impact in their business.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal because that was what was missing, right?
I appreciate that you were doing this work. You're getting underpaid, but you didn't know it. And then all of a sudden, one person pays you what it was worth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And a light bulb goes off. because one of the questions I wanted to ask was, gosh, 0809, you lose everything. I think this is the entrepreneurial story, right? Most of us have lost. We've learned these lessons, whether it was because of the economic conditions at whatever time, or we didn't plan correctly. Because I was going to ask, well, number one, how did you know how to set up your business for success? You answered that question a little bit. And then number two, what prompted you to go straight back into entrepreneurship, knowing that you had this family that was depending on you?
Well, you know the old saying, right? Like if you've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, you're unemployable. Okay. So I'm a good employee for about 12 months and then I got to run your company. So I end up just getting booted anyway. So I really didn't have any option. I was kind of weighing I didn't know what I was going to do because I didn't want to do what I did. I wasn't going to do that again. And it's been 15 plus years. I haven't built a water feature or done a sculpture in all that time. I'm really kind of all or nothing. So I'm thinking, well, I think I'll train people. I love fitness. I love working out. I train people. I have in the past. I'm like, so I went to an Anytime Fitness, got a job as a trainer, and I built this program. All of a sudden, I had 40 clients, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I became trainer of the year. Like a year later, I'm trainer of the year at the place. So I'm like, okay, I guess that means I need to open the gym. So again, I hit my 12-month mark. I opened the gym, did boot camp style training. That was awesome. Really good. So, but my approach to it, Annika, was that I didn't want to be controlled by the business because before my business was who I was. It was my identity completely. It controlled me. I was in that prison. If I didn't open, nothing happened. I was the artist. I was all this stuff. So I said, okay, I'm going to build this one different. I'm going to have trainers. They're going to do their thing. I'm going to build systems and processes. And I did that and that worked very well. Then I did the construction business, same principle. My goal was like, if my wife called me and she needed me at home, I wanted to be able to be there in 15 minutes. I didn't want to say, see you at 5, I'll be there at 7 or whatever. I'm like, that was kind of my overall goal. We were homeschooling our children, going to do it all the way through. So I'm like, I want to be available. Now, the caveat to the homeschooling thing was I taught PE and art. Okay. My wife did all the hard classes. Okay. So just not saying I'm some great teacher. I just, I did what I know, but it worked out great. My kids all got through and it was really awesome. So that was that caused me to make systems and processes and how to build a business, that'll run by itself. And again, combined with seeing the people I was mentoring and helping, I realized this is the key to success.
Nice.
This is what people actually set out to do with a business. Mm-hmm. Have it run itself, and they're doing their 5% of the business that only they can do. Right?
Yes. That's actually one of my questions is you talk about this 5%. What is that 5% that owners should be focused on?
Yeah. So your goal is to get what I call the 5%. And that's going to be things like vision, your growth. Okay. Maybe reeling in the big clients, because you're that person, but you can't be doing the day-to-days. You're not sending out payables. You're not doing receivables. You're not chasing money, right? You're probably not even doing the actual work or service. You're not actually building the product or performing the service that you provide, right? You really are the captain at the helm deciding where the ship is going. That's your 5%. And when you get to that, you're down to 15 hours a week, instead of 60.
Yeah.
Or 80 or whatever you do with all the other stuff, right? We've all been through. So that's what the 5% is. So it kind of gives that little, well, that sounds really cool. That's where I should be. That sounds good.
That sounds amazing. Right. And I think your book also, because it came out before the pandemic, but it was the perfect time because then we were all sitting at home going, okay, what am I going to do next? Or do I want to stay in this job? Do I want to find some financial and time freedom from, do I really want to pursue something I'm more passionate about?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was, the timing was really good, but people had to start thinking of well, if I can't be at air quote and work,
right?
Maybe I don't even have a job. Maybe there won't be a job when I go back. Maybe I should think of working for myself, so they get online and they're stuck at home and whatever the case, but they're looking for what are the options? What does that look like? What if I want to start this business? I kind of always wanted to do this. They begin to do it, and of course, it becomes a great reference book to begin with the fundamentals. Really understand what that really is, who you're truly serving, and things like that. So I think that was kind of a boost, and then have an academy around it where you can go in and get coached for a period of time, make sure all your ducks are in a row so your launch is successful. Or in your current business, how do you deal with this situation? The whole landscape shift. there's a huge landscape shift, right? People are going under from restaurants to, any mom and pop business, and you're being told you're not essential. You are essential nonsense, and so like you got to navigate all that. It was a hard time for a lot of businesses.
And on the advent of that, of course, one thing we saw was that a lot of the mom and pops weren't digitized, so they weren't able to continue selling. Now we see AI. A lot of them don't know how to use AI. They don't have people in their businesses who might know how to use these tools to help streamline and optimize some of their workflows. So going back to the work that you do now and what we would read in the book, what did you figure out needed to be the first thing systemized? And are you seeing a shift now with new technology?
Well, in reality, there's always been new technology, right? Mm-hmm. And businesses adapt or die. That's just some can kind of creep by because they're in a certain industry, but eventually it doesn't work, okay? Or they're non-competitive. They may even stay in business, but they're not competing. They'll get business because it's just the law of averages, but they're not winning.
Right.
They're not commanding market space, right? So today with that, when you see that advent of, we weren't digital and they kind of really pushed them in, which was unusual because I remember in 2000 with the whole .com bubble and everything else, well, you think, and I watched this evolution of websites and the wild, wild west that it was, and it was great. And I'm like, and now it's 2020 and you still don't have it? Okay, this is the winnowing. This is like, you need to go away. Okay, because, you're not going to adapt and it's like too late. Right. I mean, someone who doesn't have a website today when you can have one basically for free.
Right.
It's like something's wrong.
Or they have a website, but it's not very operational, right? It's
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now, and at least they have a website. Okay. So you really want to take it. I said, okay, well, now we got AI. That's a big leap. Okay. Because it's not just a tool. It's not just a piece of software. It's a thinking, adapting technology. Right. So its complete powers unknown. It's unharnessed really. And it's really great. And like anything I tell people, because you can go, hey, take over the world. It's going to be Terminator and all this stuff, which, okay. But right now you can, anything you build can be used for good or evil. Right. Let's go with the good part.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the good part. Let's use it in our business. Let's capitalize on this tool. Because once you do it, and I'm not an early adopter. So I'm earlier than I used to be.
Well, I will say that I went to a conference a couple of weeks ago, an AI conference, and they did say if you are doing things now, you're still an early adopter because only about 6% of businesses have incorporated AI into their business.
Right. So, okay, I'm an early adopter now because I love it. And I'm like, okay, this is because I've done it the old way so long, like copywriting, just writing my own stuff, and you can plug it in and 35 seconds, you've got the most unbelievable email or ad or then prompt. I'm like, this is the greatest tool ever invented in the history of man. Okay. So it's like, if you've ever had to write, I'm a writer. Okay. Like it's pretty amazing. So then I start seeing the other tools available to you. I'm like, okay, so now I make all my clients incorporate this.
Nice.
Like you don't have an option.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing this, you just can't keep up. This is that light year jump in business that and it didn't start today. It's been around, it's been coming up, but now it's to that point, like you were saying, you have to adopt. Yeah. You have to be an early adopter, right? And I love it. So if I can help, and it brings a new advantage to the game, and we're always looking for that. We have to in today's marketplace.
So, Richard, what are some of the types of clients that you usually work with? And what are their, top 2 or 3 pain points when they come to you?
Yeah, so we'll call it the home services industry.
Mm-hmm.
So construction, trades, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all that kind of stuff, landscaping things. So that's my main niche. I'm saying I work with other businesses as well, but that's my main niche. Their biggest pain points have always been, number one, communication or the lack thereof. Okay. Number one complaint, probably for almost any business when you look at it, because communication is a huge thing. Second one is systems. They don't have systems and processes, especially in those. These are trades guys who had a gift, a skill, and they started the business. So they're a technician going to do the business. They know how to do what they do. They don't know the business. I was exactly the same. 20 years, I kept building great things, getting in magazines, on TV, winning awards, building internationally recognized cool stuff, world-class equipment. I don't know much about business. I just made a lot of money and thought it'd never end. Well, guess what? Everything ends. So eventually the reckoning's going to come, and mine did. So now that's one of the things I do for them too, is like we get to the business side.
Yeah.
Let me show you in simple terms what this looks like and how we're going to improve it to increase your profit margins, the money you keep and everything else, and have a business that can serve people at a high level. Because when you operate at a high level, who do you serve? High level clients. That's where you're going to make your money.
Yeah.
They value what you do at a much higher level, as long as you're bringing the value, right? So we do a value creation, kind of profit focus on there, have the great communication, right? The deliverables, do things timely, everything else. So really, it just becomes a well-systemized business that can be repeatable.
Yeah. Well, these are the types of businesses that aren't easily replaced by AI, at least at this moment in time. We need tradesmen, we need service companies. What we're seeing, I know I live outside of Los Angeles. Of course, there were the fires. So there's business for years and years and years for anybody in the trades, right?
Yep.
But we also see with the uncertainty in the economy right now, some people might, in other parts of the country, might be putting things on hold. So how do you help recession-proof businesses? Because you've gone through this experience with your own business.
Right. So the first thing I tell them is, well, if there is going to be a recession, here's what I recommend. Don't participate. Okay? Do your business the way you do your business. Again, another reason why we want to deliver high value to high-end clients. They're far more recession-proof than the average lower-end stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a reality. It's not a judgment. It's just a reality, right? Second thing is we need to understand you're in a durable trade, what's called a durable trade. Been around forever. Okay, Rome put in plumbing. Okay, back in the day. Like it's there, right? It's here to stay. But if you build your, because I believe the blue collar, these trades businesses are going to be the new white collar. They're the new wealthy. And what my goal is to prepare them to scale to assume that position. So that because skilled trade is at a limited supply. Right. But trade schools are on the rise. People are seen as a viable option. You can start as a plumber and start at almost $80,000 a year. Okay. That used to be a lot back in the day. Now it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm middle class. Okay. But it's okay because that's where you start. And you can take it up from there. You start a business. So I want to prepare them for that. So what I'm saying is perfect your communication. Get your systems and processes in place. Understand your numbers so you can be highly profitable. That's how you weather these recession storms. If you don't know your numbers, so many companies are leaving so much profit inside their business. I mean, literally, it's just hidden in there if they don't get to keep it, whether that's from taxation, right? From poor operating, from expenses and not cutting costs, not understanding their real profit margins or their pricing even. They're not charging the proper amounts. So a lot of those little things, they all compound on each other. So we do little corrections, 3% here, 5% there, 2% here, adds to big numbers. And that's what gets them through these recessions. They can maintain their cash flow, right? They can get the jobs they need to get. Even when things slow down, remember, people are still going to remodel. They're going to want a new bathroom, a new kitchen, or whatever that might be. So the work is still going to be there. We're always adapting in business. Now, maybe you're not getting your highest prices ever, but you're also not going to be getting your lowest.
Yeah. Why is there a need for businesses to think of an exit strategy, right, when they're starting, right? Because when we're starting a business, we're all excited. We want to just put everything and pour everything into the business and getting it started and making it successful. We don't necessarily have exit strategy first and foremost on our minds.
Yeah, it's super counterintuitive. But what I found was, and here's what people are going to want, what's an exit strategy? Two things, really simple. How long and how much? How long do you want to do this business for, and how much do you want for it when you exit, when you leave? If you start with those two things, okay, we'll do this for 10 years and I want a $10 million exit. Keep it really simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Now you have to just reverse engineer. Well, I know where I'm at today. I'm starting, or where you've been in business 5 years. It doesn't matter. Okay, what do I need to do? What's that going to look like? So what that does, it creates a process. Now you know when to hire the first person. second, fourth, fifth, 20th, fifth, whatever it is. You understand. You also realize, okay, if I want $10 million for a business I'm starting, whatever, regardless of what the business is, what does someone wants to give me $10? What do they want? What are they actually buying? They're not buying me. And if I'm the guy doing all the dailies and I'm doing everything in this business, they're not paying me anything. Okay. Instead of 10 million, they're going to give me 50,000 for a couple of used trucks or something, right? So I'll be out. So now I have to go, okay, so now I have to build this. I need management. So you start to understand the way to build it. You also realize, hey, if I get to that, I'm probably doing 7 figures a year. I'll be making an income of $1 million a year. So how do I replace that? Because I might get to 10 million, but I don't get the million a year anymore. So now I'll say, okay, let's start creating passive income. So I need to generate $83,000 a month passively to replace my million a year that I'm getting at year 5, 6, 7. So I start acquiring those assets. What does that look like? So by the time I get to year 10, look at that. I've got 83,000 a year passive income coming in. I have a self-running business, right? I sell it. I get to 10 million. So now I have my 10 million plus my continued 1 million a year without even having to work. Right. So I'm able to plan that. Now, the best part is as you get successful in your business with the proper exit strategy, you're going to get a lot of opportunities that come your way. People are going to give you, hey, you should do this. You should do this business. You should add this to your business and buy this. Say, okay, let me run that through my exit strategy. If it gets me closer to my exit, it's a yes. If it detracts from it, it's a hard no. So that filter saves you all, and it's strictly a system.
Right.
This is not emotional. Oh, I'd love to do that. I've always wanted to do whatever essential oils. And I want to do that or something. It's like I'm not going to do that. Okay, it doesn't get me close to my exit. So that's why I build it. I just recommend the 2 best times to do an exit strategy are, like you mentioned, before you begin, and the second best time would be right now, regardless of how long you've been in your business, because it'll change how you see and do everything.
Okay, so let's talk about the name Sharpen the Spear. Richard, did that come out of your military background, or how did you come up with that name?
Yes, I've got a bit of a warrior mentality, a Marine, boxer, black belt. Yeah, I kind of got that. Still do that stuff today, and everything. So I started thinking about business, being in 35 years now with different businesses. I'm like, business is battle. Okay. I'm like, it's like going to war every day. So my tagline became, sharpen the spear, honing entrepreneurial warriors on the battlefield of business. I'm like, that's what we do. You got to keep your tools sharp, right? I mean, we got to stay honed. We got to stay out front. We have to understand it. We have to adjust our battle plans continuously. As the great saying is, no battle plan ever survives the first shot, right? So you're always going to be adjusting. So being that's kind of my warrior ethos, I train for things. I stay dangerous, all the cool stuff. I believe as men, we should be training for 2, meaning that if something happens and I can't carry my wife down 4 flights of stairs or go a half mile from my back or my kids or anything else, I'm failed as a husband and father. So I don't want to have a grabber on flight number 2, right? And die and my family sacrifices, right? So it's just got to give you an idea of my mindset, right? So I stay current with that stuff. We train and we do all that. It's just part of my ethos. And I cross that over into business with the name because I want people to kind of grab that. It's not always totally obvious till you start like seeing what we do, right? And our approach to that stuff. And it's very proactive. The coaching is very proactive, meaning that there's high accountability, just like you'd be if you were in the military on the battlefield. We get results. We train for results. We practice how we play, so to speak, and that's what we do. So that kind of encompasses it. And I also thought it was kind of cool. I get to have spears.
Well, let's talk about your clients now. Can you give us a case study or 2 of different versions of success even?
Yeah, so I had one, he's a kitchen bath remodeler, and came to me. He's like, listen, I've got this business. I'm doing about $2 million a year. I'm doing 12, 14 jobs at a time. That's a lot of jobs at a time. And he goes, but I'm not making any money. I'm losing my mind. Okay. So I come in and I said, all right, well, how about if we did this? Would you be okay if we were doing 4 jobs at a time and making almost double the money? He said, I would go for that. I said, okay, so we're good. That's going to be our goal. His average kitchen price was $43,000. Okay, just average price to do remodel a kitchen. I said, so we went into who's the ideal client, and he did phenomenal work. I always got to throw that in there. He didn't do schlock work. I mean, top notch, beautiful, totally undercharging for everything he does. So I'm like, okay, so we're going to, who we really want to serve, who would really appreciate the work that you do. Okay. It's not the $43,000 kitchen person. Okay. So over the next year, we figured all that out. We got doing that. About a year later, just over a year later, average kitchen price is now $93,000. Okay. And we're doing 4 jobs at a time. And there people are waiting. We're doing that. Now we went from 2 million to 3 million. Okay. Doing 4 jobs at a time. Okay. Because we really got the systems going. We understand who we're going to serve. We understand our margins now. So we started charging properly. Now we're keeping money. And here's the best part of the whole case study. I got a phone call from his wife. And she said, Richard, we just spent 2 weeks on the beach with all 5 of our kids. And he was never on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
Totally present. Like she goes, 8 years. I never thought this would happen. I said, that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Saving families. Okay,
yeah.
Because it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. That was one. I'll give you another one real quick. So I had a builder, a custom home builder. Same thing, been in business 40 plus years. Took it over from his father as he was beginning to exit. Total chaos. Systems, fly by the seat of your pants for 40 years. Beautiful homes. Average $1 million, million, 1.2, 1.5, somewhere down there. And same principle, let's get you systemized. So we started building systems, building process. What are you charging? Who you're serving? Same principle. Who are you really serving? Who would be the ideal people? What would you really offer? So today, and we'll put 3 years on top of this, okay? Great improvements. He owns 3 other companies now, okay? Who's able to get, because they fit in the exit strategy, right? 3 other companies. He's got, the average home price now is about $3.5 to $4 million. He's done homes at $6 million, 3.5, 2.5, 4.5. Big difference from $1 million and 1.3. Still beautiful homes, but now he's at a new level. And now communication is the main thing. How we do everything. He created a world-class experience. We created that so that it's the experience. It's not the end product, right? I can show you a picture of 5 different kitchens built by 5 different contractors. They're all amazing. Let's go talk to the homeowner. Hey, beautiful kitchen. How'd you think? Well, I'd never do it again. Worst experience of my life. These guys were this, they're swearing, they're dirty, everything. They weren't cleaning things, weren't cleaning up right. You got all the stuff. The experience, that's what they pay for. So we create the unbelievable experience, right? They just rave about it. You got to have so-and-so do this because they do this. Is the easiest thing we've ever done. So those are a couple of the things. Right now, his margins are beautiful. They're up. He's doing things he never thought possible, looking to acquire another business. So now that he knows how to systemize, we taught him all that, he can buy these distressed businesses and turn them over very, very quickly, make them part of his, and they all fit in his funnel. It's a spoke on the wheel, so to speak. They all are interrelated to what he does on the main business. So yeah, things like that.
Yeah. Well, I also wonder, because of the type of businesses that you're helping, although we're trying to get the founder out of the day-to-day, sometimes it's about the service, but sometimes it really is built on the reputation of a family-owned business and that name and that person that they want to talk to. So how do you help them hire the right people to take over some of that part of the business, have customers being used to seeing other people?
Right. So we call it strategic vision.
Mm-hmm.
So we write a strategic vision as an internal document about the entire customer experience, the process, what it looks like, right? So it's what we call a future cast. It's what we're going to achieve in the next 18 to 24 months, right? So it's not what we're doing now. It's what we're going to do. And then it's part story form. So you'll hear stories of people who came in, where they come from, what was it like there, now what it is here, and it takes you through the entire experience and process that they're delivering. So when it comes time to hire someone, they say, hey, I'd like to work for you. Okay, great. Here, read this first. Okay, and it's like 6, 10, 12 pages long, right? Pictures, everything else. Read this first, and we'll jump on a call, 5-minute phone call, okay? First question when you get on a 5-minute phone call is, did you read the strategic vision? If they say no, the conversation is over.
Yeah.
Done. There's not another thing to say, okay, you have a great day, goodbye. Now, if they did and say, well, where do you see yourself fitting? Oh, I'm this warehouse guy. Dude, I love warehouse work. I've been doing it for this. I want to do that. Okay, great. Continue the conversation, bring them through the process, right? They understand the culture of the business. That's what that strategic vision describes, where they're going. They understand where they're the hero in that part of the journey, and they understand they're working for purpose now. Everybody's working for the same outcome. It's not I put A into B every day, all day, and that's all I do. We understand who we give to from a charity standpoint. What part of these proceeds that we earn are going to, right? They understand the entire company and they're a part of it. So they become, and that's how they get the right people.
Nice.
They'll even get people that actually take a pay cut to work there because of the environment. And it's happened. It's really cool. But it's a very moving thing, Annika, because you actually read this out loud to all your people who are already on the team. You give them a highlighter and they highlight where they fit. And people will be tearing up and crying because they're like, it's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They understand. And here's the beautiful part. Like the one guy I said with the custom homes, we did that when we started. He fulfilled it, had to write another one. Okay. That's the beauty, right? He did it all and he's got all these amazing people that work for him. So as he's going to move into founder, he's got a COO, Chief Operating Officer. He's got a CFO. He's got a fractional now that's working on that. So eventually you're founder status. You have the name, he's moving into different markets and everything else. And you can do that. Now they don't deal directly with the founder. He's the face of the business.
Yeah.
No, you're not dealing with Frank Perdue when you buy Perdue chicken, right? You're not getting Frank on the horn. So, it's kind of, but he'll do the commercials, right? He'll come out and do that kind of stuff. So it's kind of that mindset. You begin to delegate properly, build out the lanes, give these people responsibility and let them run with the ball.
Yeah. Well, so then when you're thinking about people who you already have in your business, have you come across a situation where perhaps somebody doesn't see themselves in that and they're going, oh, is this a place for me? Is this not? So, and then how do you find other people to fill the right roles? Because you have, I know part of it is you build high performing teams. It's not necessarily the best people.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the people who, like you said, are inspired and want to be there.
Right. So I'll give you an example. We had one as a medical practice, and they have practitioners, right? So she had multiple offices. Well, one, because of Royal Division, everyone loved it. But one of the doctors, she actually stepped down. She said, listen, I got all this stuff going on in my personal life. Her mom's sick, all the kind of stuff. She goes, I can't fulfill the strategic vision. I'm just going to be a drain on the team. And she stepped down. This isn't some low-level job. This is 8-year educated, the whole package, right? And because the strategic vision is so strong and that bond between all the team and offices, she really felt she couldn't deliver and she stepped down. Yes, now you got to fill that position, right? But we already have the vision. We have the process, right? So the next person goes through that. We'll find who fits because it's very detailed. It's primarily female-oriented. Who's going to work here? Who's going to do that? Like they really describe it. It's like full disclosure. There's nothing left to mystery and how this business runs. So if you fit or not. Mm-hmm. So that really helps the process because hiring can be an absolute nightmare. You're going through people and everything else. Now there's other things you put in play in a business, right? You have a high bar and low bar. There's things like that, right? And low bar is what we always talk about. So here's my cool question I ask people. Okay, if you set a low bar, here's the minimum requirements, and you have an employee who shows up every day, does exactly the minimum and only the minimum, and goes home at the end of the day, but is there every day. Is that a good employee or a bad employee? I want to cut to the chase. It's a good employee.
No.
You set the low bar. They show up every single day, and they do exactly what they're supposed to do, yet they're not going above and beyond, but that's a good employee. And if you've had employees, just to get someone to show up every day is a great accomplishment. Okay, now the difference is when you're at the high bar and you have these high performers, I call them like Super Sallys, then your low ones are the Slacker Steves, okay? You have them. The problem is people, you get the Slacker Steve and the Super Sally get compensated the same. Mm-hmm. And neither one gets like low. Steve never gets let go. You can't have that. If they're going to operate at that low bar, they're going to get paid for the low bar. Super Sally's going places. She's getting compensated. You don't tell her what to do. She shows up. She stays late, right? She innovates. She comes up with new ideas. So they're compensated differently, right? So we plan for this stuff because not everybody's going to be a high performer. You need those grunts, as we call them in the Marine Corps. You need the grunts. Okay. We're just out there with a rifle. So it's all good. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. So you've had the coaching company for a couple of years
About 7.
in this. Okay. And because I know you've had, different things since you've launched your book. What do you see next in your business?
Well, we're scaling the coaching company. So my goal is to help 10,000 business owners create profit, freedom, and impact in their business. That's my goal. And the reason I do that, Annika, is because 10,000 is a cool number. Okay, that'd be great if it was just 10,000, but how it really works, like everything we've talked about, when you've got the vision, part of my goal is not just help owners help their people be more competent in what they do, but elevate them as people, make them better people also. Because when they do that, they take that home to their families.
Right.
And when they're better at home, their families are better, where are they? They're in the communities. So if I do it with 10,000 business owners, I actually get to affect millions of people with that. So that's what's next. That's what's on the future.
That's fantastic. That's really beautiful. I would like to know, what are the things that people will see when they go to your website? Are there ways for them to kind of get some training or test some things out before they know if it's a good match?
Yeah, there's great videos on there. Like, you'll learn a lot just going through the videos on there. There's a simulator you can use for your business. It's free. Just click on that and you can see how fast you can increase your profit just by little incremental changes. Okay, there's no cost to that. You can do a deeper dive and find out even more. You can schedule a call with me. You can get a full report. Once you do that in like these 12 areas, you can get a full report it's a digital report on how to do it all. Each one's got a little 2-minute video by it. Each thing, it tells you how it is. Really awesome. Like, I recommend people do that, and you'll find it's a profit accelerator simulator. So do that, because we really want people to see, by compounding small changes in their business, we can show you how to double your profits or more. Okay. The actual money you keep without additional marketing or ad spend. Yeah. That's critical. Like, the money's there. It's already in your business. We'll just help you, because what I tell people is I help business owners recover lost profits they didn't even know were missing, because they don't.
Yeah. Amazing. So, of course, we're going to have people go to your website, but I also want to know, do you have a favorite quote, mantra, verse, poem, family motto?
Yes. Okay. So I learned this quote it's been so long now, 1996. So it's been a few years, 25, 30 years. And I'll credit a man named Steve Ilg. He wrote The Outdoor Athlete. It's a book. I'm giving him credit because he didn't credit anyone in there, and it was in there. I'm like, he wrote this. And I've never forgotten it. I've had it on my gym walls. I use it all the time. And it goes like this: dedication to a goal that never wavers, a resolution. This is the basic principle in the life of every truly great character. He who resolves upon any great and good end has, by that very resolution, clothed himself in power and has scaled the chief barrier to it. I just love it, because I'm that grit guy. I'm just that resolution. I just don't quit, right? You keep going. Like, if you are dedicated to something, if you have the resolve, especially in business is hard. No matter what anyone says, right? So you need that resolve to get through. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose money. You're going to make some bad decisions. But if you keep going, I work with business owners that have scars. Okay. Because they can't appreciate you like anyone else. You can't appreciate until you've been through and made some mistakes. In the beginning, you think you know it all. I definitely did. I spent 20 years thinking I knew it all. Okay. Then found out the hard way I didn't. So, but yeah, that's probably my best quote there.
Yeah. Fantastic. Richard Walsh, Sharpen the Spear Coaching. We'll have your website, your LinkedIn in the show notes for everybody. Thank you so much. You have such a great demeanor for being somebody who is, it's funny because I wouldn't think I'd see this really smiley face on camera, considering that you're a Marine, that black belt boxer, all of the different other things that you do.
Well, it gives you perspective, Annika, because I can do all that.
Yeah.
What am I afraid of?
Right. True.
I mean, and I don't mean like, please come up and threaten me. Okay. So we can see how. What I'm saying is, like, I've done so much. Like, I'm really grateful just to be here and do stuff. And like, I'm a nice guy,
Amazing.
Just not super approachable.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Richard. I really enjoyed this conversation. Looking forward to diving into your book. I'm offering it as a resource to the audience as well.
If they go to sharpenthespiritcoaching.com, hit the contact, send me a 1-sentence email that says, saw you on Annika's show, Your Brand Amplified. I'd love the free audio version of your book.
Okay.
And I will send it right to them. So they get the full audio copy, boom, right there in their inbox. How about that?
Okay. Well, we will definitely put that in the show notes as well and share it far and wide. So thank you so much for bringing your grit, determination, and all of your advice to our audience today.
Well, it's been awesome. Thank you, Annika. Thanks for having me.
Thank you to everybody who's watching this episode or listening to it as well. I hope that you got as much out of my conversation with Richard Walsh as I did. This is one of those where I'll definitely be listening back to get inspired all over again. And I will be back again with another amazing guest very soon to share their story, their journey, and their experience to make your life a little better. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrandamplified.com.